Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. This week we were going to be talking about cupping. We have all seen those iconic marks on Olympic athletes like Michael Phelps. A ton of NBA players have them. And today I'm going to get into what cupping is, how it works, and why. So with cupping, it's the use of suction to kind of release the fascia, which I'll get into in a second, from the muscle. So over time, what can happen is the fascia, which is a connective tissue that should glide smoothly over top of muscle, can get stuck. And that can happen from injury, just repetitive strain and motion, being sedentary for 90% of the day, right? And so these adhesions can form, which means that the fascia is no longer gliding smoothly over the muscle, which can limit range of motion and cause pain. There are a couple different types of cupping. There's running cupping, which is when you're gliding over a longer portion of the muscle with the cup, and that's kind of used to help relieve any adhesions that might be between the fascia and the muscle. So you're helping to release that. You're bringing a lot of blood flow to the area, which really helps with healing. So if somebody has a chronic injury, a lot of scar tissue, cupping is a really great tool to be able to use to bring blood flow to the area to help with healing. Cupping can also be stationary, so this is what leaves that iconic cupping mark. They're just left in one specific spot, and I might leave a cup in a specific spot if while I'm doing the running cupping I notice that there's an area that has specifically a lot more adhesions than other areas. So the area will turn a little bit darker when you're running over it, meaning that there's less blood flow to that area, so you really want to focus in on that. You want to make sure that you're not actually getting a bruise from the stagnant cupping, from the stationary cupping. You just get a cupping mark, so you don't want that extreme tenderness afterwards and that change in color to a bruise. In some cases, I've also used cupping over acupuncture points. So specifically on the back, there's a meridian, the urinary bladder channel, that runs along the side of the spine. So on either side of the spine, there's the channel, and there are different points associated with different organ systems. So there's a point that represents the lung and blood and bone and heart and liver and so on and so forth. So if somebody has asthma, for example, I might use the cups if I can't use acupuncture needles to influence those specific points. So there are a couple of different types of cups that you might see practitioners using. All essentially do the same thing. So there's glass cups that you might see that are used with fire, and that's more of a traditional Chinese medicine use of them, I guess. That's a little bit too technical for me. I like to just get in there and get the cupping done. So you can do the traditional glass and fire cupping. There's also plastic cups that can be used with a hand pump, and then the silicone ones that I use where you just have to invert them, and then that creates that vacuum effect on the skin. Cupping can be an amazing adjunctive tool for a couple of different concerns. The ones that I would usually use it in practice for would be tension headaches. So if people suffer from chronic headaches that is specifically related to how much tension is in their neck and shoulders and back, then that would be a really great tool to help bring blood flow to the area, to help with any adhesions that might be there between the fascia and the muscle, so that they can have some relief from headaches that are associated with that. The other more obvious reason that cupping might be used is for athletes. This is such an amazing tool for a couple of different reasons. One, it keeps them in good shape, preventing injury from happening. It can also help address a chronic injury that isn't healing the way it should be. So I wouldn't use cupping for something acutely, like if somebody had injured their shoulder a day or two ago. Cupping definitely isn't something that I would use. But if the injury had trouble healing, then I would use cupping as an adjunctive tool. You could use it too for just general muscle aches and pains and strains from everyday living. You don't have to be a professional athlete to benefit from cupping. It just feels really nice. It's like a massage. So I think everybody can benefit from it. It also just helps to engage the parasympathetic nervous system, so it gets you into rest and digest and out of that fight or flight state. It can also help with immune function. just in that it's helping to promote proper blood flow and lymph flow, which can be hindered for a lot of different reasons. But again, having more stationary, sedentary lives, that can kind of be impaired a little bit. It can also reduce the appearance of cellulite just because it's promoting more blood and lymph flow to the area. So kind of in a similar mechanism that exfoliating or using a dry brush might do, cupping can do the same. So cupping isn't for everybody, as I always say in all of my videos, but there are things to consider and certain contraindications for it, like not having cupping done when you're pregnant or cancer, certain immune conditions. So definitely consult with a healthcare practitioner before doing it. But other than that, thank you for coming and watching and supporting as always. If you have any questions or requests, please don't hesitate to contact me by visiting my Instagram or my website, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.